Hey, my name is Stone Cold Steve Austin. Welcome to the Broken Skull Sessions. Ma. My guest today is one half of the most decorated tag team in professional wrestling history. Also, one of the greatest and most influential in history. My guest today is Bubba Ray Dudley. Welcome to the show, kid.
Oh, listen, right off the bat, that stuttering will never get over. I'm just letting you know. It ain't gonna work.
Shoot, before you and I ever met, I was catching a clip of ECW when I, found it on the TV. And I saw you doing the stutter thing. As soon as I saw you stutter and then go into the articulation that you possess with the speed cadence and all that, I said, this kid's gonna make it. And it turned out you did pretty good for yourself.
They were showing a couple of videos earlier on. I just sat here and I even said to the crew, I go, how the hell did that guy get a chance to sit in this chair? Because it's a crazy journey. When I look back, it's almost cringeworthy to me. Like I see some of that old footage and I'm just like, oh my God, I can't believe that. I can't believe what everything morphed into. You brought up ECW, so right off the bat, I'm gonna hit you with one.
Hit me.
What do we have in common? ECW, what do me and you have in common?
I did not know.
September of 1995, the same night in Middletown, New York, at that sports bar.
Yeah.
We debuted in ECW the same night. When you were doing the Hogan stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was Bill Alfonso's bodyguard and took the choke slam from 911, and that's how I got my job. I showed up that night because my friends dared me to show up. I didn't have a job. I didn't have anything. I put my gear in my bag. I drove 3 hours on a wing and a prayer. I get into the parking lot and I see Tommy Dreamer. Now, I'd known Tommy Dreamer from the Indies. So I said, hey, Tommy, if you can introduce me to the promoter or something, maybe something will happen. And he introduced me to Paul. And they said, yeah, we got something for you tonight, kid. And I said, okay, great, who am I working with? And like, we'll let you know when the time's right. I said, okay, I put my gear on, I'm all ready. Show starts, I don't know who I'm working with. Look at the lineup, no name next to my name, nothing. I said, can I know who I'm working with? When the time's right, kid, I'll let you know. And I'm looking at Paul now. I don't know Paul Heyman at all. I know him from on screen, obviously with you. Now we get to like intermission. I still don't know what I'm doing. Don't worry, kid, when the time's right, I'll let you know.
Don't you love the kid word?
Kid, well,
Oh,
you
kid.
just opened with it when you introduced me. Good to see you, kid. Now it's the match before the main event. I still don't know what I'm doing. Now I'm getting ribbed. Now they're trying to see how I'm gonna react to this. They're gonna maybe tell me to show up tomorrow or the next time. The main event is going into the ring and Paul Heyman pulls me on the side. He goes, you're Bill Alfonso's bodyguard. When the time is right, 911 is gonna choke slam you. Don't F it up. And I went through the curtain with Bill Alfonso. When 911 got his hands on Bill Alfonso, he came in to save him. 911 goozled me, took the big 402-pound choke slam, bang, came back through the curtain. Paul Heyman sitting there with his checkbook in his hand. There's a joke there, you know it. Sitting there with the checkbook in his hand, and he goes, great job, kid. How do you feel about shaving your head? And on my first night in ECW, I got hit with one of my biggest fears ever in wrestling.
What was that?
Shaving my head. I had the big hair. I was like the third nasty boy. Can't even believe I just admitted that, but I was the third nasty boy.
Right.
The long hair, the leather jackets, and one of my fears was ever being asked to shave my head. And Paul looks at me, he's like, how do you feel about shaving your head? And I was like, and he goes, if you don't want to, it's okay, we'll find something else for you. And right then and there, boom, I knew.
Opportunity.
And it's going like this, Steve. It ain't bashing the door down, it's going like this.
A little bit, yeah.
You gotta be in tune with it, right? And the next day—
Opportunity.
Exactly. The next day, I'm down in Jersey at a friend's house and he buzzed all my hair off on the front porch of his house, and that's it. And 2 weeks later, I showed up to ECW, head shaven, no name yet, no Bubba name, no nothing. And on my first official night in ECW, in the ECW arena, my second biggest fear of my career comes into play.
What was that?
The name Bubba.
You didn't like Bubba.
I never wanted to shave my head, and I never wanted the name Bubba. And within 2 weeks, both of them hit me back.
Your biggest fears.
Yeah, because who's got the nickname Bubba in wrestling? all the big heavy.
I ain't never gonna make
all
no
the
money.
fat guys are named Bubba. So that's it. And then
The only guy that was a good Big Bubba was Big Bubba.
absolutely.
Ray
Big Bubba,
Traylor.
yeah, absolutely. Amazing. God rest his soul. Amazing. And it's probably 2 a.m. We're in the ECW arena in the back, the old school bingo hall. You've been there. Complete.
Loved it.
No place in wrestling like it. I mean, you might talk about the Sportatorium.
No, but
maybe.
Yeah.
You know? And I'm about to.
Oh,
I'm about to do my first on camera with the rest of the Dudley family, and I don't have a name yet. And everybody in the crew is now there behind the cameras. And like, well, what are we gonna call him? And the boys are just shouting crap out now. They're like, he looks like a Billy Joe. He looks like a Bobby Sue. He looks like a Bubba. And I went, no, God, please, no. Hopefully Paul did not hear that. Yeah. He looks like a Bubba. Bubba Ray. And that was it.
the way Paulie always does that. The addition to Bubba Ray.
Yep.
And so you're anointed Bubba Ray.
And that's it. And
I didn't know we debuted together.
yeah, I was standing on the other side of the camera when you were doing the Hogan stuff.
Yeah.
And I was standing right next to you off shot when you were doing Monday Night Quill in the Travelodge at 3 a.m.
God damn. Did you ever think I was going to mount to a hill of beans when you saw me doing the Hogan stuff?
It was entertaining as hell.
It was entertaining.
And I didn't know why you were there. Like, remember, I had never been in ECW
Right.
day in my life. Now that I know the backstory, I get it because you were pissed, and Paul said, "Talk."
Yeah, but I was injured. And so it was a pass through. Paul gave me the call, and so I got lucky. But okay, we jumped right into it. So let's backtrack a little bit. Going back to the chokeslam with 911. I always thought 911 is one of the greatest wrestling names of all time. Short run, great name. But your athletic ability showed up there. You posted up, got high. So you've always had that athletic ability.
Yes.
So going back to your love of pro wrestling, how did you find it? Because it was me flipping 3 channels in South Texas. And it was, it was only on Saturday, Sunday night, Houston wrestling. When you found it, what'd you do? Just go, oh, this is it.
WOR was the name of the state. Channel 9, WOR TV in New York, 10 a.m. Saturday mornings after Doctor Who.
Yeah.
And I was glued. And the first exposure that I have to pro wrestling, Alpha and Sika, Jules and Jay Strongbow, Tony Gurria and Rick Martel.
Old school.
The Moondogs.
Yeah.
Fuji and Sai. I watched tag team wrestling first, and for me it was 4 guys are much more exciting than 2. Which, as I've gone on in my wrestling career, it always bothered me how tag team wrestling took a back seat. Because in my mind, always, you can create more excitement with 4 than you can with
Oh, 100%. And I didn't realize that until I got into the Blondes. I had tagged up, but we also have something in common as well. And you've gone on record, I'll let you finish the story. Steve Austin's always said, if you're not in wrestling business to be the world champion, you got no business being in it. You would say,
if you ain't in the wrestling business to be the world tag team champions, you got no reason being in it.
but it's about going to the top. You just love the tag team aspect. The only thing that bothered me about tag team wrestling when I was put into the Blondes with Brian was the fact that, if you're all in on a singles run by yourself, it's by you, for you, and you're dependent upon yourself. That injury factor can come into play for the other guy. So I was always like, man, if the other guy gets hurt, I'm in a bad way.
Sure.
So there's that benefit risk thing.
I never really thought about that.
Yeah.
Actually, that thought never went through my mind, but I get where you're
Well,
at.
luckily, with the 20-plus year that you and Devon had, when you guys ultimately get together, the fact that you guys are so resilient, you were both built for the business and both naturals for the business. But, yeah, man, that was one of the things that scared me was, hey, I'm dependent on somebody else, and we're talking about feeding my family.
Yeah, sure.
So you're watching this.
I got to call timeout.
Yeah.
Are we going to drink these or not?
We were talking off camera. It's a shoot. And I never knew that other than our beer bash in Japan many, many years ago, we drank about 110, 115 beers. That's a shoot. And between us, guzzled them. We've never really hung out and run together.
Never.
Always got along.
Yeah.
Before the shows, we always killed time. It would be you, me, and Jericho sitting there talking rock and roll bands, what we like, what's coming up, what's not.
And it took me and you about a year Like, it was always hello and goodbye.
Yeah.
You know, this was like 99, 2000. And then all of a sudden, just one day in the locker room, do you remember the band we were talking about that we first kind of found some common ground?
Probably would have been Scorpions.
Beautiful Creatures.
Oh, dude, highly underrated.
There you go.
Yeah.
Great debut album.
Yeah.
So here, we're drinking to our first one. Now wait, remember Let's Make a Deal with Monty Hall?
I do.
You
Oh,
got- Well, I was gonna say, do you want this or do you want what's behind curtain number 3?
I'm going to take this.
Well, here's curtain number 3.
Oh,
We
no,
could just
you,
let that set if you want.
no, you didn't. God dang
And
it.
just in case you wanted to take us,
Are you ribbing me?
that's not a rib, that's a shoot, brother.
Oh, dude, if you're going to call me now, before we got on
You
air.
don't have to open it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, this is like doing hot ones, and the guy's going to do the last dab. You don't have to if you don't want to. Oh, so you think I'm going to puss out?
Nope.
You're going to fly in all the way from the
God's
tri-state
country, New
area,
York City.
all the way out here to the mountains of Nevada, and you think I'm going to stand you up?
Just one.
Yeah, I'm
Just
down
one.
with it. But we got to get back to you. I know you were trained by Johnny Rods, and also was Sonny Blaze a part of that?
I could have been trained by Johnny Rods. Johnny trained Devon, Johnny trained Taz, Johnny trained Dreamer. Johnny Rods is one of the greatest pro wrestling trainers of all time. I met a guy who was an enhancement talent for the Fed back in the day. I won't even say his name.
Yeah.
To this day, I still hold a grudge because he did me so wrong. He took me to Johnny's. Johnny said it'll be this much money to train, but I had to drive an hour to Brooklyn, an hour home. Huge commitment, which I was willing to do. But then this guy comes along, this enhancement guy, says, I want to open up my own wrestling school. And my wrestling school will be 5 minutes away from your house. And I have a WWE ring. And I have WWE connections. And oh, by the way, I'm starting my own territory. I got TV with HBO, and I want you to be my first world heavyweight champion. Bang. I hadn't spent a day in a ring, and he's telling me all this stuff, and I'm like, wow.
You believed it.
Of course I believed it. I was like, here's my money. I handed him $2,500.
Oh.
My first day in wrestling school, I walk in, beautiful wrestling school. There's a WWE ring. It's clean and shiny. I get in the ring, and he's sitting on a folding chair on the floor, smoking a cigarette. And he goes, so what do you want to learn? And as any 402-pound man trying to find his way in the pro wrestling business would say, drop kicks.
You said that?
Yeah. Why did I don't know. I wanted to do a drop kick. He didn't even teach me how to get in a wrestling ring. I learned nothing. This guy stole my money.
Right.
I never learned a damn thing. I was never trained the right way. I'm the shits. I'm just really good with smoke and mirrors.
Okay, but prior to ECW, you're going to bounce around the indie scene for
Yep.
almost 4 years. All exclusively as Mongo Vile.
Yep.
Okay, from what we were talking about with your ECW debut, world's different. Who was Mongo Vile?
A mix of Max Payne and the Nasty Boys. It's just your generic biker, big guy heel, long leather jacket, black mullet. Mongo was my fraternity name.
Copy.
And I was just trying to think of a heel name, a different heel name, and I was gonna spell it different. So vile, disgusting, vile, instead of V-I-L-E, V-Y-L-E. Mongo Vile. It's generic heel 101. And back then, early 90s, East Coast indie scene, names like that, the very gimmick names, they caught on.
Of course.
Yeah.
But while you're out there on that indie scene, aren't you selling cars? Aren't you bouncing?
Yeah.
Trying to make ends
Yep.
meet?
Yep.
Okay, you're a silver-tongued devil, man. Talk to me about selling cars.
I was bouncing, and when I graduated high school, my family was friends with a man named John Staluppi. John Staluppi, one of the biggest car guys on the East Coast. And he asked me, what are you gonna do now that you graduated high school? I said, I don't know, John. He goes, tomorrow you start selling cars for me. I started selling cars. And that was it. And being in the car industry while I was trying to make it in wrestling was great because back then selling a car, you can make good money. They gave you a car to drive. It was called a demo. So, and they gave you health insurance.
Yeah.
So I got to be on a great schedule, make money, and still find my way in wrestling.
What'd you learn on the way on the road in the 4 years before you got to ECW and turned into that thing? Did you learn how to work on the indies?
I don't know where I learned how to work. I don't think I truly learned anything until I got to ECW because Terry Funk was there, because Bam Bam Bigelow was there, Shane Douglas was there, guys that knew how to work. And obviously, Paul.
Yeah.
Go out there, do what you do, then when you come back through the curtain, now we're gonna fix it. That's where I really started to learn the psychology of things.
You've named some heavy duty cats there. Did one of those guys, I know you really respect Bam Bam as one of the great big men, God rest his soul. Did one of those guys like take you under the learning tree, or hey kid?
They all took us under the learning tree. When I say us, if you were a young boy in ECW, you got taken under the learning tree by everybody. And that's why that company was so special. ECW is the true revolution of the wrestling business. Whatever veteran talent was there helped all of the young guys. When those young guys got along in their career, they helped the next crew of young guys. I remember I used to lace my boots by putting one boot up on a chair and lacing it. And one day, Bam Bam looks over at me and he goes, "Hey, Marcus, come here." Now, my name's not Marcus, it's Mark, and nobody ever called me by my real name. But he goes, "Marcus, come here." He goes, "Let me show you how a big man laces his boots." He said, "Don't pick your foot up onto the chair because you can't get all your weight down into the boot. And if you can't get all your weight down into the boot, you can't tighten your laces. Thus, you don't have the right ankle support for a big man." Steve, from that day on, up until the last day I laced up my boots, his words go through my head. I hear Bam Bam talking to me every time I lace my boots.
I'll be damned. So you shaved your head. All of a sudden, you're part of the Dudleys. Just take me through the what it was like to be a Dudley.
I had no idea. The Dudley gimmick comes from the Hanson brothers in Slapshot.
Yeah.
Okay? The goofy guys that could kick ass. So the original brothers...
And they got over.
Yes, and it worked. So the original brothers were Dudley Dudley, Big Dick Dudley, Steingard. Each Dudley had some kind of unique aspect to them. The story was Big Daddy Dudley was one of the boys back in the day who went from territory to territory, and every time he got to a new territory, he shacked up with a different girl, and out popped out another Dudley. So my story was that Big Daddy Dudley went through West Virginia, and that's what came out of Mama Dudley. So when they really didn't know what to do with you, they made you a Dudley. So here I am in this family of, misfits, and I'm going out there, and I'm stuttering, and I'm dancing, and I'm doing all this entertainment stuff, this goofy, and people are chanting, "Ba, ba, ba, ba," and "Dance, Bubba, dance." And then every once in a while, I would powerbomb a guy, and that lasted for about 8 or 9 months, and it was working. And then I worked with Gigolo Jimmy Del Rey, and I got exposed. Not because Jimmy exposed me, but because I didn't know what I was doing, because my wrestling training was so awful, and what I had under my belt wasn't quality. And Jimmy Del Rey, as you know, great worker.
Right.
I couldn't follow. And in an instant, I got exposed, and the entire arena on me. And they turned on me. They didn't care about my entertaining stuff anymore. They didn't care about nothing. They were like, "Get lost. Get out of here." So I had to fight through that. And once the ECW arena turns on you, you might as well just pack your bags.
But that's really interesting because you had the tools to captivate the audience for a certain amount of time. And then all of a sudden, just to your point, it's like, oh, that's all he had.
Yep.
He ain't got no more irons in the fire. He had to put some more irons in the fire.
Yep.
Let's go to a clip of an old promo back from the ECW days.
Bubba Ray Dudley. Bubba, say a couple of words.
My name is
Hey, settle down a little bit. That's okay. Bubba's had a little problem with, he had a speech impediment. Boy, toilet training was a bitch with this guy. But we've been working on the eye-hand coordination with him, and he's doing good. Why don't you show him that step that we got you going, Bubba? Try it. You can do it. Come on. Take your time.
Here we go.
Everybody have a pleasant evening.
Who thought of the stuttering and then the awakening and then the articulation?
I don't know. I don't remember. It could have been Raven. It could have been Taz. It could have been Paul, because this Raven and Taz kind of came up with the whole Dudley gimmick. I don't know, but that is night one. That's the night I got the name
dang.
Bubba. That's my first promo with the Dudley family. So that was just me winging it, doing whatever they told me to do, you know, at that moment in time. And like I told you earlier, I don't know how that guy is sitting here right now. It's that guy, and me and Devon, if you have any old pictures of me and Devon, when you look at those pictures, those guys were not supposed to make it.
Right. So, okay, you're doing the Dudley thing, and then Devon comes to the territory, right?
Devon comes in because he needs to straighten out the Dudley family. He's the badass of the family. He came in, and Devon was like the Samuel L. Jackson from Pulp Fiction type of Dudley. He was a righteous, bad mother trucker who was going to strike down upon thee with great vengeance and furious anger those who try to poison and destroy my brother. So that's where that came from. Me and Devon feuded for a while, and we killed each other.
I've seen some of the footage.
Killed each other.
Yeah.
And this was the lengths that I had to go to in order to win the arena back over.
Ah.
And when you have to go,
You had to pay dues and get charred in the fire in front of the audience.
yeah, I had to have my ass handed. You see, I've stuttered again. I had to have my ass handed to me by Devon in order for them to buy into me as a baby face again. And little by little, it started to work. I knew me and Devon had chemistry against one another. I knew that on my own, the babyface thing was going a little stale, and I knew in my heart, I ain't no babyface. I'm a heel. I knew what I was capable of, a heel. I went to Paul one night and I said, listen, me and Devon, you see, when we're against each other, we have a certain chemistry. I think if you put us together, we might have something. And he goes, yep, let's do it. And that was it. Much like everything else in ECW, we just winged it. You got an idea, you feel passionately about it, let's do it. If it works, we'll run with it. If it doesn't work, we'll never do it again. We went out there. I turned on the Sandman and our little brother Spike. We hit our first 3D, and that was it.
So when you and Devon were wrestling against each other, I mean, this is like some serious strong style shit. I mean, you guys are beating the hell out of each other.
Stupid style.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're both physical guys, both built to take the punishment. What was up with just the fact that you guys were killing each other? Was that you having to be that physical to earn that respect from that crowd?
Absolutely. The ECW fan is bloodthirsty. As much as they loved the Malenkos, the Guerreros, and the Mysterios, they loved the violence. And ECW wasn't just about violence. Extreme had nothing to do with violence. Extreme had to do with a state of mind, whether that was a great wrestling state of mind or a violent state of mind. It was all about the business that happened in the ring. What we did and what we became good at was the violence. And I knew that that's what I had to bring to the table. A different level of violence, and I also had to bring to the table a different level of getting under people's skin. We had to go so far that it went beyond heel heat. I tried to go to levels that only Freddie Blassie and the original Sheik would go to, where people wanted to kill you when you walked outside the arena. And that's what I considered real heel heat.
I've heard you say that you don't like cool bad guys.
Hate them.
Because
For the obvious reasons.
they're not getting the heat that they're out there to get.
Without Darth Vader, Luke Skywalker is a whiny punk-ass bitch from Tatooine who has absolutely nothing to fight for. If the devil ain't got no heat, Jesus can't blow a comeback. Good guys aren't worth without the bad guys. You had the luxury of having the greatest bad guy. If you would have never had that bad guy, if you would have never had Mr. McMahon Do you feel confident you could have gotten Stone Cold to that next level on your own?
That would have been tough to do because that was the next level, and he was the ultimate bad guy. So, yeah, to your point, I doubt that high.
What heel would have gotten you to the next level that he could?
None.
And that's the way I'm so black and white in pro wrestling. When I'm a heel, I want you to hate me so bad that you want to throw bricks through my window, you want to flatten my tires, and you want to shank me. When I'm a babyface, I want you to name your firstborn after me.
Let's talk about the ECW crowd just for a little bit, just to give them some credit, because god dang, they were like, well, that was a part of ECW, was the crowd.
Absolutely.
They were in on the show, for the show, with the show, but they didn't try to hijack the crowd. They were all about the show and responding accordingly. Well, what was your thought about the fan base there, as loyal and hardcore as they were?
They were probably the most important aspect of ECW. Everything that went on in the ring was special, but it was the relationship that we had with the fan base. Our fan base was ready to go to war for us. You look at any territory you ever worked in, before you stepped foot in that ECW arena, had you ever experienced a crowd that was willing to go to war for a company?
No, I haven't.
Those people, they were smart, they were rabid, and they were willing to stand up for this shitty little company that ran out of a bingo hall on the corner of Swanson and Rinder in South Philadelphia that changed the wrestling business.
What do you think sparked that intense love and passion about that company?
It's just, I compare wrestling to rock and roll all the time. It's like seeing the Sex Pistols for the first time, seeing the Ramones for the first time, seeing Kiss for the first time. You're like, wow, what? I've never seen this before. This is different. I'm not sure if it's good or not, but it's different and it's got me. And that's what ECW was. I always compare ECW to Napster. Remember Napster?
Yeah.
Napster went bankrupt, but it changed music forever. ECW went bankrupt, but it changed pro wrestling forever. It was this different way of going about things. It wasn't safe. We lived on the edge. And it was better to burn out than fade away, because that's what we did. We burned out. Like you said, what's it like living on the edge of that lightning bolt?
Right.
That's what we did. We lived on the edge of the lightning bolt.
You guys only going to stay there for a little bit. You got to go different places. How did you end up in WWE?
So we were there 5 years, and we have a friend. His name is Blackjack Brown.
I remember Blackjack.
Blackjack Brown, photographer,
Yeah.
okay? Wrote a column for the Daily News. Vince Russo is booking with Vince McMahon, and I'm hearing scuttlebutt from Blackjack that the WWE is interested in us. And Blackjack's like, pick up the phone and give him a call. Whoever picks up the phone.
Yeah, you know the deal.
Whoever picks up the phone first loses.
Yeah.
And you know damn well that they're not going to pick up the phone first. So it's kind of like a couple of months of this back and forth. Well, this is in like late 98, maybe early 99. And this is back when we had three-way calling. I get a phone call from Blackjack Brown one night. Hey, Bubba, how you doing? Blah, blah, blah. What's going on? Hey, Bubba, hold on 1 second. Got somebody who wants to talk to you. Click. Bubba Ray Dudley, meet Vince Russo. Vince Russo, meet Bubba Ray Dudley. Blackjack Brown put us on a three-way.
Wow.
Nobody called anybody. So now we're really on, neutral ground here, Yeah. Just start talking. Vince Russo, New York, Italian guy.
I'm figuring you guys hit it right off.
We hit it off, and he was an ECW fan,
Yeah.
and he liked what me and Devon were doing. So we start to talk. He says, I'd like to set up a meeting. We want you to meet everybody. Okay. So in this amount of time, now we have to tell Paul. But me and Devon are so loyal to Paul and ECW. We meet with Paul, and we said, Paul, give us $1 more a night and we'll stay. $1 more a night. And he said, I can't do it. And that's when I realized that Paul and Vince were doing some kind of business. He knew that Vince wanted us.
Right.
Or somebody wanted us, and he can't stand in the way. Because if he stands in the way, they're gonna take what they want anyway.
What is it about Paul that damn near everybody that's worked for him for any length of time will run through a damn brick wall for that guy? And there's that loyalty. I think we're about the same as far as loyalty goes.
Yep.
Always appreciate anybody who gives you a start or a break or a chance. But what was it about Paul or his personality that just made everybody want to fight tooth and nail for him and for that friggin' crowd.
Did you, I always compared Paul to like a David Koresh. Not exactly.
In a good way.
In a good way.
Yeah.
You believed everything that he said. If you go back and you watch the speech that he gave right before Barely Legal, our first
I've
meeting,
seen it.
I get goosebumps to this day because I remember what it was like to be in front of him one-on-one, getting that speech, or him talking to the locker room, anything. He made you believe you had a chance. He made you believe we had a chance. He took this company and he allowed us to be in a frame of mind that we could make a difference. You got guys like Taz challenging you. What guys in other companies were challenging guys in, world champion someplace else? He was letting guys be the real version of themselves. And when you saw that, you wanted to fight for this guy. You'd kill yourself for this guy. Might have screwed us out of the Dudley name, but whatever.
Okay, but you got that question answered. I'm a huge Paulie guy.
Yeah.
Love him to death, and he gave me a great break and put me on the map along with you. So there you were in the middle of your first creative meeting with the WWE team and?
Don't have a lot of memories. I think this was a feeling out for them.
Okay.
Because before us, there was the Public Enemy. And God rest Johnny and Rocco's souls, but I think the Public Enemy left a bad taste in the entire WWE mouth. Everybody there.
Didn't go so well for him.
Correct. Feeling out. And
Would these guys be like them?
Correct. And me and Devon, consummate professionals with the utmost respect for everything. Sat there, met with everybody, listened. They invite us back for another meeting just with Jim Ross. What we didn't know is that with Jim Ross and Vince. And there we are in JR's office with, just JR and Vince. We're talking and going over a bunch of stuff. And I remember saying to Vince, can we talk about the push?
You said that to me.
Yeah, I said we could, because remember, back in those days, you talked about your push. And he said, Bubba, there is no such thing as the push. There is, however, opportunity. That was a big learning moment for me right there, as far as what the WWE is going to be like. Did you get a push day one?
No, I got an opportunity. You got the push if you warranted the push.
There you go.
Yeah.
And, me and Devon being these heels, I remember saying to him, hey, Vince, I just want to let you know something. Me and Devon are old school heels.
Of course.
We don't sign autographs and we don't take pictures. And he started to chuckle and he put his hand on my knee like my dad would. And he goes, Bubba, not only will you sign autographs, but you'll take pictures also. Boom, light bulb went off. Yes, sir, we'll take pictures and we'll sign autographs. So, but it was a good meeting with the both of them.
Hey, I want to take just some footage from your official WWE debut. All right, JBL laid out. Okay, there's a story behind this 2x4. We'll get it at the back end. Nice work. Good shot on JBL, the 2x4. Devon got him compromised on the ground. Another good shot. 2x4. Served Hacksaw Jim Duggan really well for many years. Now you're out there swinging one, working it good. Make an entrance, throw some wood, no pun intended. And you're off. Was there a conversation before you hit the ring about those 2x4s?
Yes.
By one Ron Simmons?
Yes, there
I love
was.
this story because as you know, Ron was on the show and I'm a huge Ron fan. And I've always told everybody that Ron is the E.F. Hutton of professional wrestling. When he's talking, you're listening.
Everybody's listening.
Yeah.
They tell us that we're going to attack the APA with 2x4s. Now we know what happened to the Public Enemy.
Just a little backstory there.
Public Enemy and the APA were doing business. Creative wanted APA to put the Public Enemy through their own tables. Public Enemy and Sabu did tables long before the Dudleys did. We didn't invent the tables.
Correct.
We brought them to the forefront. We made them cool. We learned how to make a buck off of them.
Yeah.
Public Enemy didn't want to do business. About 10 minutes before they go out, if I got the story straight, they said, we're not going to go through the table. We don't want to do the job, something like that. And Ron and John just beat the shit out of them.
It was rough. It was rough.
And I don't think they were ever heard from again after that. So we knew that we were being fed to Ron and John so we can be tested. That was it. And you know what? That's the way it was back in the day. You got tested. You earned your stripes. You paid your dues. Whatever word you want to put on it. That locker room was going to make sure that we were okay and we weren't another team like the Public Enemy who might disrupt things. Now they tell us about the 2x4s.
Yeah.
Because
y'all weren't 2x4 specialists.
No. I've swung just about every weapon there is. I've never swung a 2x4. It's not easy to grip a 2x4 and then you have to try to work the 2x4. Yeah. I said, Devon, they're going to kill us whether we go light on them or whether we lay our shit in. So why don't we just lay our shit in so at least we can look good on night one.
Yeah.
And then we'll take our ass kicking and we'll just move forward from there. And as Bradshaw always say, like I hit him so hard with that first shot. We laid our shit in, we hit him as hard as we could. And then the next week on Raw, they're gonna get it back on us.
Right.
We're on that Raw set, live shot.
This is a curtain sellout. We've got the footage. You want to watch it?
Let's
watch it. Let's go through it because this is a curtain sellout because this is a moment.
Acolyte! Big deal! We are the Dudley Boys!
When you're on the receiving end of your promo and you're taking that spit.
Tag team champions!
He's mouthing the words.
Bradshaw!
Terry helped me out a whole lot in business.
Very smart man.
Devon? Nothing. To all you pretenders and non-believers, I will strike down
There's a Samuel L. Jackson.
with great vengeance and
Furious
furious
anger.
anger. And remember, boys, there's only 3 things you need to understand. Number 1, thou shalt not kill. Number 2, thou shalt not steal. And number 3...
There we go.
The Acolytes! Veruca Bradshaw! I'm getting some of the Dudleys here!
Boy, it didn't take him much to pull Devon out.
2 things the Dudleys need to
These are all live rounds.
And those are shoot 55-gallon drums. There's nothing aluminum about that. That's just straight up 55-gallon drums.
Dudleys, this ain't that extremely crappy wrestling you guys are used to. Bradshaw and Farouk, another assault here, just like the Acolytes got earlier from the Dudleys.
Boy, Ron throws him right hands. JBL stomping a mud hole. Concrete doesn't give much, you know, so when that contact is made, you ain't going nowhere.
It's a shoot
You're
ass
absorbing
kicking.
everything.
As soon as they yelled cut, me and Devon got up, shook their hands, hugged them, said thank you, and there were all the boys in the background. And that's when I realized, you know, what was going on. And from that moment on, everything was A-okay.
So everything was good.
Yep.
So you guys take the ass whooping. Everything's good. You're in the company for a minute now. With everything that you learned in the 1 through 4 years you were a Mongo Val, whatever that was, through ECW, listen to Paul Heyman for almost 5 years. When you got into the WWE, okay, you take this beating, you're accepted. Hey, these guys are cool. Did you guys gravitate towards anybody? Who did you run with? Who were you traveling with? Who did you lean on for any kind of advice that maybe a higher power or more years of experience could bestow upon you?
It was me and Devon. We were on our own. We really didn't, in the locker room, we tried to, you know, be friendly and respectful with everybody, but it was always me and him.
Were you a drinking guy on the road?
Yeah.
A couple of beers?
That's
Or
it.
Y'all,
That's all
y'all
I
go
did.
out or y'all keep low key? What was y'all's protocol?
We went out almost every single night.
Really?
Every night we were out drinking someplace. You know, hooting and hollering here, having a good time. You know, no bad stuff. Just, you know, some beers, a couple shots of Jack, move on to the next town and get the job done. Because as you well know, if you're going to go out and party, you better be in the gym the next day. You better be ready to roll the next day. Otherwise, you're done.
Right. Let's jump forward because things are going to kick into high gear. You guys are going to be put in a tables match with the Hardys. Now, I guess, you know, the Hardys and Edge and Christian have been working around a little bit. All of a sudden, you guys go into this illustrious match. This is in Madison Square Garden. Very special place. Footage from the Royal Rumble in 2000. Let's talk about this. Let's watch it and discuss it. Dude, that music.
Yep.
That music. Look at these young Hardys. Good-looking cats. Heartthrobs. Daredevils. Risk takers.
Absolutely.
Rock stars.
We got cut by 5 minutes.
Oh, so it's
We had
get
this
into
whole
it.
thing planned. And then we're all looking at each other. Should we cut it? Nope. Let's just buzz through it. And
Hey, what's that move
That's
called?
called the Bubba Bomb.
Okay, love it.
Sit out full Nelson bomb. Yeah, and we're just going here. We're running through everything.
Boy, them legs almost gave you the worst end of that.
Yep.
Good stagger there. Good
Gotta
stagger.
celebrate.
Staying up.
This sucks. This absolutely sucks.
Oh,
because
my, yeah.
Jeff comes down first, and then Matt's ass comes down second right across my head.
Yep.
If you hit flush at the same time, you're good. But the stagger, it killed.
Understood. And here's what I love about you guys. All the high-risk stuff, you guys, with all the destruction, very precise, very calculated, eliminating as much risk as you can from a high-risk situation. You guys, with all the that you did, were extremely safe.
Thank you. That's a huge compliment. Thank you.
Oh, do not try this at home.
So that eliminates Matt from the match.
Copy.
This was a tag team elimination match.
Yep.
So now it's just down to
I love this.
Devon and Jeff.
Fighting up into the crowd here. Got a handful of hair. Boy, you like to grab a handful of hair, don't you?
A little bit, yeah.
You do.
A little bit. And I wasn't very gentle back then.
No, you weren't.
No,
yeah.
I wasn't.
But you set a tone when you do. That's body language.
Yeah.
And that's control.
And when they gave it back to me, I never said a word.
Yeah. Okay, precarious situation here. Okay.
I wanted this moment. This
It's
was my
great.
Jimmy Superfly Snuka moment.
Great. I never would have put that together. Okay, good sell job. Wham. Okay, this is a hell of a bump here. Yeah, here we go. Oh, dude.
As a kid watching Snuka, I wanted to create a moment for myself that I could always look back on in history. And this is another
Look at
moment.
this.
Look at that.
Took his shirt off. Girls love him. Amazing.
And the Hardys win the match.
So that was your Snuka moment.
We talk about WrestleMania moments, but that moment to me, like I'm standing on top of Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
Like Jimmy stood on top of Madison Square
Yeah.
Garden. I just wanted that one moment just in case. And, I was able to get it.
Is this a match that kind of really put you guys on the map in WWE?
Yeah.
And say, hey, man, you know what? These guys, they're not just good, but we can depend on these guys. They're showstoppers.
You can only be as good as the guy standing across from you.
Right.
And if you don't have those right dance partners, can't go out and do this by ourselves.
Right.
So credit to the Hardys also for the way we were able to gel. But yeah, this is the one, much like the Hardys and Edge and Christian with their ladder match, put those two teams on the map. This is the one that put us on the map. And we're in our backyard. New York City is our backyard. Right. This is our home. The Garden's our home arena. And we're losing a tables match. But you don't have to go over to get over.
Right.
And on this night, everybody got over.
So, okay, Public Enemy was, at first to really kind of incorporate the tables. You and Devon had a relationship with the tables that would make you synonymous with the tables. So, when did the Devon Get the Tables come about? Because that's a T-shirt. That's a rallying moment for the crowd. You get them involved. It's not pandering. Like, why did the Dudleys become just synonymous with tables? It's because, like, y'all invented them now.
That moment where I said, Devon, get the tables, that was as written as Austin 3:16 means I just whooped your ass.
It just come out. It just came out.
And that's something that till today, like Devon get the tables is probably me and Devon's rock and roll all night.
Right.
I know exactly what kind of reaction I'm gonna get from it. I know exactly where to put it. I can use it as anywhere in the match.
And it's also, without, that's that time for the crowd to participate. Because you've always prided yourself. I've seen you talk in interviews. You and Devon always gave the crowd what they came to see out of the Dudleys. So to be a part of that gives them the chance to jump in. It's like, God dang, what next time they come, I want to see them again.
Yep. That's what we did with Devon Get the Tables. And then right before that, we started doing the What's Up headbutt.
It got over huge.
So the What's Up was the setup for Devon Get the Tables. It was such a strong 1-2 punch for us at any part of the match. It was guaranteed to work. And once you have them like that, you got them.
You made me think of something while you were talking just then. As you guys are climbing up the ladder here, no pun intended with what's to come. When you came into the WWE, dude, that's a stacked-ass roster.
Phew.
Heavy duty. Damn near everybody's going to be in the Hall of Fame or is in the Hall of Fame, and you guys coming in now, you guys are starting to crest up on it. What did you think when you rolled into that scene with the players that were there?
Great White Tank.
Yeah.
The Great White Tank.
Shark-infested waters.
That's it. And you either survived or you didn't survive. listen, we were all doing very well. Everybody was really cool with one another. And as you know, when the boys are making money, things good. But you still got to find your way. And we had to find our way. And every time we went out there with one goal in mind: steal the show. That's it. I don't care who put the ass in the seats. I care about them talking about our act when they leave.
Yeah.
That was the goal.
Yeah. And really, I mean, that's, if you're in the business, that's 101. I mean, if you're not trying to steal the show, like I remember being in Tennessee and they say, hey, kid, you got 8 minutes. And, Dutch Mantel would tell me that. And I was like, hey, what am I going to do for 8 minutes? Well, do whatever you can. But when you learn enough, yeah, you're trying your damnedest. Hey, no chairs, no nothing. You just got to wrestle inside the ring. But your goal is, end result, try to steal the damn show.
Absolutely.
Anyway, I go back to you. After that match, you guys are on the rise. I'll segue into, not necessarily in chronological order, but you would power bomb so many people through so many tables. We've got to tell just the Mae Young story because it's just one of those iconic moments. She's a legend in the business. Y'all had a great relationship and so much mutual respect. And just tell the story about how this came to be.
So yeah, the very first time we had to work with Mae, and I picked her up, and Steve, I gently put her down. That night, we got into the back, and she walked up to me, and she snatched my wrist like Carl Gotch was snatching my wrist. And she goes, hey, hotshot, if you're gonna slam me, you slam me like one of the boys.
Wow.
Yes, ma'am. Mae Young is one of the boys.
Yeah.
She's probably one of the boys more than most of the boys are. I always say she's the toughest man I've ever met.
Yeah.
And then creative comes up with this idea. This one is new to me. This is blind.
Right.
In the ring, I've been here before. I can do it. I haven't been here before. I'm higher up. The trajectory is different. So we're winging it here. But this is probably one of the most memorable moments we've ever had.
Throw this footage. Let's check it out. Crowd's into it. No, really, you don't. Okay, I guess so.
Yeah. And now there's just this. They have no idea what's about to happen. Now they do.
Man, this is a hell of a bump. Oh!
And if you look, my ass is on the second table. It only catches the first one because of the trajectory.
The blank stare. You started incorporating the blank stare, or just this. And the camera.
Wait. Let's see if they catch the. I think I did the eye roll there too. I don't know if I do the eye. I did the eye roll on one of them.
Yeah.
And I got a phone call the next day.
Undertaker. Hello.
Bruce Pritchard handed me the phone. He goes, somebody wants to talk to you.
How'd you incorporate that stare? Because you were able to capture those moments where people say, hey, find a camera. No, that camera always found that stare because you gave it to them, that
I
look.
figured that the physicality already stood out. So I can't do anything to top the physicality.
Let it sink in.
Lay out.
There's it. Lay out. So, big time respect to Mae Young. And she actually taught you and Devon some learning lessons.
Absolutely.
Going back to that Royal Rumble match, that really kind of puts you on the map. And that would lead to a pathway into WrestleMania where everything's going to change. I guess this was WrestleMania 2000.
Yep, Anaheim.
Because it's going to be a collision of
Hardys, Dudleys, Edge, and Christian.
Yeah.
In the first triangle ladder match. And this is where a lot of people kind of get confused. They think that's TLC 1. It's not.
But the story would be, after it was all said and done, the kind of conversation was going, and
after that was all, Michael Hayes and Dr. Tom Pritchard are our agent. And that match ends, and we all get through the curtain, and we're like, yup, something just happened.
Yep.
And we're standing there, the six of us, Dr. Tom, Michael Hayes, and, Michael's like, damn, the way you boys incorporated, everything else into it, I loved it, and, this, and that. And I don't know why I said this, but I go, yeah, if we ever did it again, we could call it like TLC. And I'm like, oh, that was such a stupid thing to say. Because TLC was like tender loving care. I was like, that was the stupidest thing I've ever said. I hope nobody heard me. But I think that's the first time that the words TLC ever got uttered. And maybe Michael remembered. And then in SummerSlam of 2000, is when TLC won. actually happened. But yeah, this triangle ladder match, this is where everybody starts talking about the Dudleys, Edge and Christian, and the Hardys in the same sentence.
Right.
We all become synonymous with one another.
Was that the helicopter spin spot?
My ode to Terry Funk.
Oh,
That's my
where
Terry
that came
Funk
from.
spot. Yeah. I
Okay.
watched Funk do that so many times, especially in ECW.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So when you guys are thinking about putting one of these matches together, is there like on these first few inaugural matches, you thinking, man, this thing could be just a complete total clustermuck? Or did you have full confidence that y'all could design something out that would build to a crescendo and just turn out like it did? Always chicken salad, never chicken.
We were all confident. We were all full of piss and vinegar. I don't remember us ever doubting ourselves. We were all on the same page. We thought alike. We could discuss things. We could disagree on things. There was a chemistry. You know damn well that to find two teams with chemistry in wrestling that can draw money, not everybody is the Rock and Roll in the Midnight. If you can find two teams that'll draw money, let alone three, that was a big deal. This is what I call the WWE step in moment with tag team wrestling. It wasn't like we're pushing the Dudleys, we're pushing the Hardys, we're pushing Edge and Christian. It was like these three teams came along, they had this chemistry, and Vince went, this smells like money. And that was it. And that's how we started running. And with this one, this was all about bravado.
Right.
This was all about we're stealing the show. This is going to put us all on the map at the same time. I think this might have been the only one that was a bit spot fest in mentality.
Man, we're about to get to TLC.
But we actually go into them with a psychology on the TLC matches because it becomes more about climbing for the belts than about holy moments.
Roger that. Let's spring forward and go into TLC 2. WrestleMania 17, what many consider to be one of the greatest pay-per-view of all time. Or
This is going to be a good story now.
WrestleMania
This is going to be good now. I know where we're
talking about. So, what is the mindset of all 6 of you heading into WrestleMania 17 and TLC 2? But first.
Oh, okay. I tell you what.
Go ahead.
Let's drink to... Let's drink to the main event of WrestleMania 17, and we'll drink to TLC 2. You want to know what our mindset was? I'm going to show you, and you'll probably understand what our mentality was that night.
Really?
Not to you,
Yeah.
to everybody. This was it. We had done everything we can. This is going to be the crowning moment. If they're going to remember anything, they're going to remember this one.
Did y'all feel like y'all being boxed into a corner, or you were just going to rise to the occasion just to prove a point?
This was the biggest for us now. It's the Astrodome, it's WrestleMania. I mean, of everything that you had done also, I mean, the Astrodome had to be a big deal, right?
Oh, huge deal.
So it's a huge deal for everybody. We knew what we did in the Triangle Ladder match. We knew what we did in TLC 1. Now we have to top it. There is no taking a step backwards because now the fans expect something more. So now, a little bit more psychology, more carefully planned holy shit moments, and how do we incorporate the 3 new identities of the match? Rhino with Edge and Christian, Spike with me and Devon, Lita with the Hardys.
All 3 just popped along with the work that you guys put in.
And they have to be ran in at the right time.
Yeah.
We have to be very selective. This had to be perfection in our eyes.
Let's go to some footage and talk about a little bit of the action there. How about this house? We're talking about giving the fans a shout out in ECW. This crowd in the Astrodome, 67,000 strong at that time, an indoor attendance record for the Astrodome. Said George Strait broke it. I'm not so sure about that, but if anyone's to break it, glad it's him. They were in for this whole ride. And Triple H comes down with Motorhead singing. Taker comes down on the chopper.
Yep.
I mean, this thing is packed. Here you guys come, and they're ready to see you guys give it everything you've got. And you feed off that crowd.
No, we couldn't hear the crowd.
Y'all
we
couldn't?
thought the match sucked.
Are you kidding me?
We came back through the curtain as dejected and deflated as ever. We couldn't hear the crowd. The noise was going straight up.
Okay, I did that at Ford Field in the Billionaires match. I couldn't hear the crowd, but I could hear them here. Oh, anyway, you guys, let's get to the match.
But we got cut in time here too.
Oh, really?
This one gets cut like an hour beforehand.
Really?
We got
How much time got shaved off?
4 or 5 minutes.
Okay, because y'all are putting in about 17.
I guess the main event needed more time.
Hey, they built the house. Okay, there's what's up. Wham! Boy, that's a rough landing, man. To do that night in, night out when y'all call that spot. Here we go. What I like, you almost, you've really never rushed anything. You're very,
Let it
you'll
sit,
draw it
yeah.
out, you'll let it ruminate, sit. This is nice. Bam! Jimmy Corderas,
Jerry
good
did a
referee.
Great job of,
Yep,
keeping us, letting us know where we were on time.
everybody battling, 6 guys. Okay, here we go. What a bump by Christian.
Yep.
Oh, nice bump by these guys. Okay, here you are. Here's a double push, down. Total destruction. Okay, here's Edge climbing up.
Spike and Rhino.
Oh, nice chair shot. Oh, good straddle bump. A little short, but he makes it.
There's our homage to the Road Warriors, which we try to throw in all the
Okay, I'm
time.
glad you said that.
Yep.
Okay. Now, he'd walked across the top of the ladders, fell down once, came back up, has the wherewithal to trap that ladder, get in position. And there's a story behind this if you want to tell it after we're done.
Yep.
Okay, you start walking away. Okay.
And here
Can't
it
hang
comes.
on any longer. Perfect position. There's the timing. Boom. Doesn't get any better than that. Hang on with the story. Devastation in the ring. Total carnage. The people can't believe what they've just seen. Okay, here you are on top. Okay, this is a great moment. This is a great moment. God dang. We can expand in just a second. Total devastation. 2 guys putting it all on the line. Dude, when you're in a ring on top of that ladder, I've never been there, but I know how high that is.
And Devon's terrified of heights.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Terrified.
So this is a shoot for him right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shout out to Devon. Hope you're doing good right now, brother.
Thank you for that.
Okay. Okay, Edge and Christian with the win, but and that's almost besides the point. Congratulations to them. I mean, it was about the match.
Yeah.
It was about rocking the house. You guys tore the house down.
So the night before, we're all in the Astrodome, and we're trying to put this thing together. And it's a little tense because we're such perfectionists at this point that we're putting everything under a microscope. Every last movement, especially myself. And this is the only time we argued.
Really?
Yeah. It got really heated day of.
About what?
The sequence of the final holy bumps. In TLC 1, I climbed that ladder, and Edge and Christian pushed it over, and I took that ride, and I fell through the 4 tables.
Yep.
In this one, me and Matt were gonna do it together.
Yep.
But now, Edge was gonna do the spear on Jeff Hardy in midair.
Yep.
They had already seen me go off by myself. Adding Matt was cool, but they've already seen this type of spot before. Edge spearing Jeff in midair that's a moment that's gonna live forever.
Yeah.
This was something new. This was something different. I thought that should have been the last. We were in a dead tie. We could not come to a decision. And we eventually walked off to some suite in the top tier of the Astrodome, and we basically yelled at one another. But we were yelling at one another for the best reasons. Because the only business that matters is the business of the match.
Right.
So what sequence are we gonna put? And we kind of voted on it. And the Edge spear goes first, the ladder ride goes second, which is not, I didn't want that.
Right.
I thought the Edge and Jeff moment is considerably bigger than me and Matt's moment.
Well, first of all, yeah, I agree. That moment where both you guys go, it's amazing. But that is once in a lifetime.
It can't be replicated.
Yeah, I agree with you.
You already kind of know what this looks like. What Edge and Jeff are about to do.
Never done.
No, it's never been done. People don't know what it's looking
And they
like.
nailed it. there was a couple of points that we're going to expand upon.
The spear.
The spear.
So the night before, we're all in the Astrodome. We know that we want to do the spot with Edge spearing Jeff. But if Jeff is just there in the middle, Edge can't jump that far. We have to figure out a way to create this swinging motion, and none of us could get it.
The pendulum effect.
Yeah, exactly. There you go, pendulum. I like that. We can't figure it out. So it's the 6 of us in an empty Astrodome the night before. Rhino is there. He's sitting at the announce table. Spike is there, probably half in the bag. And Lead is there also. Only the people that were absolutely necessary for the match are there. And I couldn't figure it out, and Matt couldn't figure it out, and Edge couldn't, and Christian, and, you know, all the guys that are the real, like, thinkers of the match. And all of a sudden, Rhino goes, well, Bubba, why don't you just pick up the ladder and walk it back to the corner like you're trying to get it out of the way, and Jeff just hooks it like he's trying to bring it back, and that'll create the momentum. And you had to see all of us, like, we felt like so stupid.
Hello, McFly. Yeah.
Rhino came up with this? I'm breaking Rhino's chops,
Yeah,
but yeah, Rhino came up with the solution, and it worked perfectly.
It was just,
And also me and Matt going off the ladders together. That's just, it amazes me, the timing and the precision. If one guy goes a split second before the other, bad things are happening.
timing and precision. There's kind of an art to taking a bump to a table.
It's no different than the art of jumping off a building for a stuntman. That table will have a mind of its own. It's never gonna break the same way. It'll either, sometimes it goes clean, sometimes it completely shatters, it explodes, sometimes the steel underneath can catch you. The wood almost cuts you open. There's always a splinter someplace. It's basically trial and error. If it's an 8-foot table, which in the WWE, the majority of them are, you know where the legs are. I've never told this before, so this is a first time about the legs. The spot where me and Matt go through the tables together that we just saw, because there's only a certain amount of room underneath the table where the brackets come up,
Yeah.
we didn't have the same sweet spot. So we had them move the brackets back. So the sweet spot in the middle of the table becomes bigger.
Yeah.
So you have less of a chance of hitting the brackets underneath. So you're just going through the wood, and the steel underneath has less of a chance of catching you. Because that steel will catch you at times.
Oh, yeah.
And I've been hurt by a table bump plenty of times. So, but yeah, it just becomes like a glorified stuntman type of, thing.
But you've been through, whether it's TLC, table, this, that, or whatever, over 20-some of these matches. And your left ankle ain't so good because you've tweaked it a time or two, but you really don't have too many issues, body issues.
I'm 50 and I feel great. I feel great. I shattered my ankle doing, at Barely Legal, the very first ECW pay-per-view, Perry Saturn runs at me, he blasts me off the apron, I jump down to the floor, my leg just buckled underneath my weight and I shattered my ankle. It wasn't even doing something crazy.
Yeah, but you didn't do yourself any favors by cutting the cast off and using the walking boot from Tommy Dreamer so you could keep working.
You heard this story.
Yeah, I heard you. But
when you get to a certain part of your career, if an injury happens, you start.
And you ain't got time for the injury. Yeah.
You're laying there at night, and the worst case scenarios are going on in your head.
Doing all the things that you did with the other two dynamic tag teams, talk to me just a little bit about those guys or the bond that was formed between y'all as far as trust, because there ain't nothing there but 110% trust.
In order for me to properly tell you about the bond that was there, I bring you to our Hall of Fame induction. There's no way the Dudleys can be inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Wow.
If it's not for the other two teams that became so synonymous with us. When we got there, I knew I wanted this moment. This is another, we talk about our WrestleMania moments. I wanted this.
Really?
Because for the fans, this will most likely be the last time they see those 6 guys together. And I said, this is the perfect night for it. I knew that really nobody else at their Hall of Fame induction had ever allowed others to come up and share the spotlight with them, but the 6 of us had always shared the spotlight together. So why not at the Hall of Fame?
Right.
We're going to talk about them enough during our speech. Why not give them a little bit, a piece of the, of the action also? So it was important for me and Devon, for fans, to see this final shot.
Gotcha. Hey, we're going to get to a point in time where eventually you and Devon are going to have to part ways. And I think this is Vince's idea to split you guys up.
Yeah, in the first ever draft.
First ever draft. And so it happens. You guys shake hands, embrace, and go your separate ways. You've always wanted to be a tag team wrestler.
Yep.
Never any design on being a singles guy. And now you are. Mm-hmm. When you've been in the tag so long and you are Bubba Ray Dudley with Devon, and you guys are joined to the hips, really. And brothers, how did you feel walking to the ring for your first time? I know you've had singles matches as part of a tag.
Yep.
Go out there and work a single, but now as a solo act, knowing that you're a solo act, how did that feel for you?
It's very foreign. It's very foreign.
Totally.
It's like losing a limb.
Yeah.
This guy's on the left of me or the right of me on any given time. Like, we share the same brain, the same movements. Now you're out there by yourself. I wasn't very confident. As confident as I was as a tag team wrestler, like, my mind worked like, this is a tag guy. This? Nope. But you know damn well that if this is what you're handed, I was handed a deuce, a 4, a 6, an 8, and an ace, all offsuit. There was no such thing as folding.
Right.
You got to play the hand, and you don't need the best cards to win the hand.
Right.
So I tried to play the cards to the best of my ability. And in my singles run, I get to work with this kid named Brock Lesnar because one night, somebody didn't want to work with him.
Cheers.
You got to appreciate that one. Come on.
Man gotta eat. I'd handle it a little bit different, but it was what it was, man.
I think I was working with somebody like for 5 minutes, and then they came up to me and they go, "Yeah, you and Brock." What?
What town? Was that Atlanta?
I don't, wherever,
Flair might have worked with Matt Knight. I don't remember. But okay, so the singles run is what it is. We're gonna get to your successful run as Bully Ray, but they're gonna eventually reunite you and Devon, and you guys are gonna pick up where you leave off.
Hey, wait a minute. What the heck? There's Devon. It's Devon. Devon Dudley. What the hell? Devon Dudley from SmackDown. He's not supposed to be here. He's SmackDown.
So we show up to the Garden that night, and I walked into the arena earlier in the day, and I can see Vince sitting at the other end, and he's motioning like this for me to come over, and he says, I'm putting you and Devon back together tonight. And that's all I needed to hear, where his initial experiment of splitting us up maybe didn't go as well as he wanted it to. When he came up to me and Devon, he said, "I'm splitting you guys up in the draft." I said, "Vince, we don't think it's a good idea." Why? I said, with all due respect to the Road Warriors, nobody wanted to see Hawk and Animal wrestle by themselves.
They didn't.
I knew that if Hawk was wrestling Flair, there was no way Hawk is winning the World Heavyweight Championship. So it was, the Road Warriors were a synonymous team. This is an act. You know what you're getting. Same thing with the Dudleys. Road Warriors, greatest tag team of all time. End of story. I don't mean to compare myself to them, but you get the point of people paid to see the Dudley boys, Bubba and Devon, not us as individuals. But this is what creative wanted. Vince said, I need to shake up the draft, and this will shake some stuff up. Okay, we'll do it.
So you guys you opt out? Contract expires?
We go home for a couple months, and I get in touch with Johnny and Vince, and I said, we're sitting here doing nothing. You're paying us. Let us go down to OVW and help some of the younger teams down there.
Wow, very gracious.
So we go down there and we start working with Mercury and Morrison, M&M, who get called up very shortly after that. So for me, that was I had a sense of pride because, I let the boss know that we'll go down there, we'll get some guys ready for you, some young guys ready, and they did get the call. So I was happy about that. And then we just sat home until ECW's One Night Stand. They figured they had been home for this long, why not just hold off for One Night Stand?
But ultimately, the WWE run comes to an end.
Because it becomes a financial thing. It becomes, we'd like you to take a little bit less of a downside. And we're like, we've been warriors for you for 6 years. We've done everything you ask. Yes, maybe I can be a little bit difficult to do business with at times, but that's only in the best interest of business. I'm not a yes man, Steve, as I'm sure you weren't either. Exactly. But we just couldn't come to an agreement on money, and that was it. Thank you. See you down the road.
No foul.
No, absolutely not. And 10 years later, we came back.
Yeah.
You know, and we welcomed with open arms. Year after we were done, inducted into the Hall of Fame. Great relationship. No complaints.
What's the difference between the locker room? Hey, locker room's locker room, but just a difference in feel of culture or what the product is all about between WWE and TNA. Same.
It really was the same. Here's where the WWE differs from every other company. The accountability of coming back through the curtain. With somebody looking down at you over the edge of his glasses like this. Vince is the ultimate accountability, and he's right there when you come back through.
Yeah.
And you know by that look whether or not you did a good job for him tonight or you didn't do a good job for him tonight. There was degrees of accountability in other companies, but never that type of accountability.
So what are you saying about that accountability?
I loved it.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
Because if the old man gives you this, that, or you're golden.
This is all I personally ever needed.
Yeah.
I
don't need a hug.
I don't chase the hug.
Yeah.
I don't chase the hug. I don't sit in the hallway and wait for Vince to pass just so he can say, "Good job tonight, pal." So I have a good 300-mile drive from Sheboygan to to Madison. And he's gonna let you know if he's not happy, he'll call you over.
But he has high expectations. Is the fact that you lived up to the expectations or you surpassed them is paramount.
That's it. I'll never forget one night, Dudley's RTC. Live SmackDown, Madison Square Garden. We went 5 minutes over on live TV. 5 minutes.
That's a lifetime. Yeah.
That's grounds for.
Yeah. See ya.
Your bags are packed. They're
Yeah.
waiting for you. But we blew the roof off the garden.
Yeah.
It went so well. I don't even get 1 foot through the curtain, and he's right here, Steve. He's right here. And he says, if you ever go over on my live TV again, it better be as good as that. And he walked away. You want to talk about a double-edged sword?
Yeah.
Meaning, don't you ever do that again.
But if you do, it better be that good. That's an ultimate compliment.
Man, that's Vince telling you to your face. He's not sending an agent. He's not sending anybody. I'm pissed off, but damn, that was
And
good.
he's not telling you to do it again. But if you do, you better knock it out of the fucking park.
That's it. That's it.
Oh, so you guys are going to go into TNA, but ultimately you will transform into Bully Ray into a singles role. Did you decide, hey, I want to be a singles now?
Me and Devon go to TNA. We have a nice run in TNA. We have a great run in All Japan, New Japan, Hustle. So we're doing all this. Eventually, there's nobody left to work with. There's not one team left on the planet. There's not one territory. There's not one set of tag team championships left to win. What do we do? We're not retiring. What do we do? Devon had always told me he always had an itch to be a singles guy. He just wanted to try it. I said, well, now's the time. I said, why don't we go our separate ways? But in going our separate ways, we'll stay together. And I came up with a story that revolved around our finish. Team 3D, nobody had ever kicked out of our finish. For 20 years, or up until whenever
I was
it was,
not aware of that.
we protected the finish. Nobody kicked out. If we hit the move, maybe there was a save or a pullout, nobody kicked out. As a matter of fact, at the Great American Bash, when it was the Dudleys versus Taker, we said to Taker, if you want this, and he said, nope, you protected it for so long, we're not gonna do it if it doesn't mean anything.
Old school.
Yep.
Respect.
So, total respect. So this was supposed to be our retirement match, our swan song. If we could win the tag team championships for one last time, and if we couldn't, we're done, we're retiring. We hit the 3D on Chris Sabin. Devon goes for the cover. 1, 2, Sabin kicks out. What the hell? Mike Tenay on the call, on commentary. I don't think anybody's ever kicked out of this move. Blah, blah, blah. The next set of tapings, me and Devon, thank you very much, everybody. We love you. Goodbye. We're out the door. Right in the back of Devon's head. He kicked out with you covering, not me. You're the weak link. You always have been.
Oh.
And this is where Bully Ray starts. I now start calling Devon my co-star. You've always walked in my shadow. You've always walked one step behind me. You've done what I've told you to do. This is Heel 101 with the name Bully, and everybody hates a bully. It was so easy to do. This is not rocket science. I'm not reinventing a wheel.
So you go down there and your promos are just lighting people up. You start gaining a head of steam. How long does it take for the confidence to set in? You're like, hey, this single stuff is pretty damn cool.
Confidence sets in day one with me on this run. Because
Pretty quick.
Because I knew there was nothing left for me and Devon to do, so I had a plan. I had a plan. This wasn't creative coming to me with something. Their plan, which I don't even know if they knew what they were doing with it, but I knew I had a plan. I didn't have a 6-month arc. I had a 1-year arc to pitch to creative.
Good for you. It's a long time.
You can't go to creative and go, you're doing nothing with me. Because creative's gonna look at you and go, okay, what do you have in mind? Well, here you go. This is what I have in mind. At least you have something. So I go to them with this, with this whole idea. And Bully Ray, in my eyes, was supposed to be one thing. And then Eric Bischoff pulls me on the side one day at Universal Studios, and he pulls me next to a garbage can. I mean, I remember this like it's yesterday. And he goes, how do you feel about being the leader of a motorcycle gang? And I felt the same way about being the leader of a motorcycle gang as I did about shaving my head and having the name Bubba. I was like, this is awful. A motorcycle
But
gang?
Mongo Vile was a biker.
Mongo Vile was awful. I'm like, oh my God.
See what it did there?
Motorcycle gang. But Eric was the booker.
Right.
It was his idea. And if he's pulling you on the side and he has something in mind for you, you gotta play the hand. And this is where the aces and eights are born out of, which I'm very, very proud of.
I'm glad you said that because I really loved the aces and eights. I loved the crew. And then I love when you segued into the storyline with Brooke
Yeah,
and Hogan.
yeah. That was a big deal for me to get to work with Hulk and Sting. This was a year-long story that was gonna play out. And I'm all about storytelling.
You love stories.
Long-term storytelling that you can sink your teeth into. And I was able to get into this. Plus, I had never gotten an opportunity to work with people the likes of Hulk and Sting. I live for being in the ring with guys that are better than me because I love to go for the jugular. To me, it forces me to be better, work up, and outdo them. And if you can get guys that are always trying to outdo each other, you're gonna create a little bit of magic, i.e. you and Rocky.
Right.
And that's what I keep in mind.
What kind of energy did you get across the ring from a Hogan in a promo segment or in a match with a Sting? And was it what you had anticipated it would be if you did that?
Yeah, it was. It was everything that I wanted it to be. When I go out there, I have a certain vision. I also have a certain sound in my mind that I have for the people, how I want them to react. And Sting was, I mean, there was no such thing as Sting was an older wrestler at this time. And I didn't want to allow Sting to be the older wrestler. And if that meant lighten him up a little bit, then I'll light him up a little bit because he was fired up by that. If that meant on the microphone, I went after Hulk a little bit, then I would do it. I really didn't have a fear of any of these things because to me, it's all business. I'm not being disrespectful to you in the back,
No.
but if I say some shit in the ring that might cut you in a certain way, good.
Well, and obviously you're expecting a return
Yeah.
to cut back.
And one of the biggest learning experiences I had from Hulk, and I will never forget this. This guy, Hulk was all business with me, all business. And one night, me and Hulk are facing off on the ramp, and we got a little too close. And as the heel, I'm not getting too close to the legendary babyface. I don't want to leave him with his Johnson in his hand where he can't do anything. I started to back down. We get into the back, and he calls me over, and he goes, "Don't you ever back down for me again." And I was like, I did not understand the lesson that I was just about to learn. I'm like, Hulk, you're you, and like, I didn't want to get too close where people would expect you to hit me. He goes, "I'm here to make you. I back down from you."
Wow.
He made me understand, don't you do that. We're trying to bring your character up to a certain level. Your character doesn't need to be backing down at this very moment. That was a big deal for me to learn that lesson.
Pretty killer lesson from a legend that he is.
Yeah.
You win a world title from Jeff Hardy, TNA. How was it?
It was awesome. When I beat Jeff in the cage in San Antonio at Lockdown, that was the biggest gate that TNA had ever had. We drew to paid attendance of like 7,100. I know that's not Astrodome numbers, but for TNA, it was the biggest house. And I was proud to be a part of a main event that drew this house, and it was all through the storytelling. For me, when the story is able to have a certain kind of payoff and it works,
Good crew guys right there.
yeah, I love these guys. I loved all of them. They did such a great job. I mean, especially Ken Anderson. Ken really did a great job in his role in the Aces and Eights, and I enjoyed working with him a lot.
Bottom line, your career and your run in TNA.
Very successful. This is one of my favorite things because
good.
I had the whole Bully Ray, Aces and Eights, Brooke, Devon, Anderson story, and then eventually putting Dixie through the table.
Yeah.
This is all really stuff that I never aspired to do. I always wanted to be a tag guy. So having this level of success as a singles guy is nothing that I even thought of. But I had to start thinking in these terms. I needed to get my singles run over as much as we got our tag team run over. Otherwise, I'm just going to fall into obscurity and I'm going to become a tag team wrestler that never made it because she was entirely too synonymous with a tag team.
What are you thinking when you're thinking about going into a match, whether it's a Sting or whoever as a singles? Because the way you and Devon, kind of structured your matches, there was always kind of that blueprint. As a single wrestler, what was your keys that you wanted to get done when you were out there?
101. Heat, shine, come back, finish.
Okay, yeah. I was going to go, shine, heat, and
Come back, finish.
Yeah.
And shine, heat, come back, finish has been working for 100 years. Who am I to change that formula?
Copy.
If you are really good at doing what you do, what else do you need to do besides punch, kick, Thez press, and stunner?
You just named it.
The better you become at what you do, the less you have to do. Feed the elbow, baby.
Yeah.
And that's what I was trying to get to, that I could get so much heat that whoever was standing across from me didn't have to do much except beat the shit out of me. That was my mindset.
Watching some of your highlight reels, obviously.
Do I sound crazy?
No.
Okay.
No. I'm just, you just mentioning some of the things you mentioned got my brain spinning, and watching some of your highlight reels and studying your body of work. Dusty Rhodes was a pretty big influence on you.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Because the big elbow, straight out of Dusty book, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I had my little homage to Funk, to Dusty. These are the little things that I blatantly stole, that I just try to make my own as a tip of the cap to the people that I appreciated who came before me. And Dusty, I mean, when it comes to the promo, we all know is, one of the greatest.
So you've been away from WWE for quite some time, give or take 10 years. Was it important for you to have one final run in WWE, or was it just an opportunity that presented itself and you took it?
It was just an opportunity. I get an email from Road Dogg, who was working in the office at the time, to come back to the 15 Royal Rumble, which was in Philly.
Which probably that was the reason, Philly,
so that
tie back into those ECW roots?
Correct. So they called me and said, hey, we'd like to have you as a surprise at the Rumble. Are you interested? It's in Philly. I've never been in a Royal Rumble. I've never been in one. I've performed at the Royal Rumble, but I've never actually been in a Rumble.
Let's go to the footage from the Royal Rumble in Philly. Hell yeah. Standing O, hands in the air.
Miz
sells it with the
Miz.
look. Look at this. Look at the composure. Dude, I love the walk here. The body language here. I don't know what's up. I'm the man. I am in control. That's what that says to me.
Yeah. You know what that says to me? I'm in no control because I have no idea what's going on.
Really?
The wall of sound that hit me
Yeah.
rushed my adrenaline so high,
Spiked?
I blacked out.
Really?
Blacked out.
Dude, you
Not
look-
until I start running do I come back.
You look very composed. It's just a picture, nice clothesline, good feed by Miz, bumping feed here. Come on back up, sends him in for a ride. Boom, off the ropes. Backdrop.
Nice
boom.
and easy.
What's going on?
Saying a little
Shout out to
Bradshaw right
Philly.
there.
I thought that was going to be the pop-up into the, Bubba Cutter, right?
We hit a 3D.
Yeah.
They asked me to do everything with Ron that I would normally do with Devon, and I was like, I actually called Devon that night too. I said, are you cool with this? And he's like, yeah, go ahead, no problem. This is stuff that's synonymous with me and Devon.
Right.
I would never think of doing this, with anybody else.
You got such height. I think this is one of your matches with Devon. You send him in for the ride, pop him up. I mean, he's up here, and then you go down. When did you start doing that?
That's the night that I invented the Bubba Cutter. And that comes out of watching a Nitro match between Malenko and Mysterio.
Right.
So Malenko shoots Mysterio in and gives him a pop-up face pancake bump.
Yeah.
But Ray gets so high that I said to myself, well, if you can 180 under the guy and catch him in a cutter on the way down, that'll be a hell of a finish, a hell of a move. But that's kind of cruiserweight right there. I told Devon about it, and we said, yeah, we didn't even practice it. We had never ran through it. We just did it.
Man, it's like it couldn't have been any better than it was.
I'm a big believer in any move that is done is 50-50. If you do your 50% of the move and I do my 50% of the move and the mechanics come together, we should be able to hit it the right way. No one move is on any one person.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, to pop a guy up that high and come down.
But Devon got up. Devon's ups made that easier for me to get up underneath him. That's just not me powering Devon up.
I'm not here to argue with you.
Oh,
Hey.
I'll argue. Wait a minute.
What? Oh, go ahead, bring it. Oh, I'm just gonna take a casual sip. Are we shooting them? You're calling me out.
I didn't call you out. I just reminded
Shot
you.
of whiskey to the best match at WrestleMania 17.
Drink out of the bottle to the match that stole the show.
Touche. Back to the podcast at hands. This is getting out of control. Hey, nowadays in Connecticut,
Yep.
the 3D Wrestling Academy is still up and going.
I have a school up in Danbury, Connecticut, Team 3D Academy. Devon
A lot of
still-
kids there, man.
This is our original school down in Florida. You can see a lot of familiar faces right there on the left, the blonde girl, Jessie Brink, Jessica Carr, first
Yep.
ever female referee in the WWE. Let's see, there's Leva, she's in AEW. Trish is doing really well on the indies. Caitlin, she's in NXT. We have a lot of successful ladies that came out of the Team 3D Academy.
Man, one of the things that I noticed just in watching your matches and watching you work, man, you're solid as a rock, very safe. It's a tough business, a very tough business. And I see those kids that come out of your school. I've seen some of the clips of you teaching them in the school. I mean, you really bring those kids up right. I believe you when you say, as many territories as you've been to, as successful as you and Devon have been, you by yourself, you're giving those kids everything they need to know to be successful. If they can be, you're giving them their best shot.
Me and Devon opened up a wrestling school because I knew how poorly I was trained and how my money was stolen from me. And because when we had left the WWE in 2006, we wanted to go do a couple of indie shots, kind of like a rock and roll band that goes from the 20,000 seat arenas to the clubs every once in a while. We were like, hey, let's do a couple of club shows. You get into the locker room on some of these indie shots and like something has changed along the way. The young boys are different. There's the level of respect is different. The etiquette is different. We need to open a school and do our part to pump quality back into the system. And if quality means just respect for the business, then that's all we would be open for. And we guarantee our students nothing except you spend 1 year with us. When you're done, we will try to pack as much knowledge into that brain in and out of the ring that you'll have an opportunity to maybe make it in this industry.
When those kids sign up, it is a year-long course.
We tell them it's a 1 year course. This is not no 3-month gig. This is
Wow,
one,
testament to that, man. That's
1 year.
yeah.
Nobody should be having a first match after.
No, I
3
agree, but I
months.
mean, find that anywhere else. And I'm not selling your school. I'm just it doesn't exist.
It's a 1 year school. And Steve, I say things to potential students that you probably shouldn't say as a businessman because they might put their money back in their pocket. But I'm a big believer in full disclosure on day one. I want you to know what you're about to get yourself into. If you're here to wrestle in high schools on Friday and Saturday, you got the wrong school.
Right now, you're part of Busted Open, Sirius XM Radio. Been doing it for quite some time.
Yep.
I really enjoy listening to you on radio. Your thoughts on today's scene as far as the business of pro wrestling?
Particular company or overall?
Overall,
I think we're down to the real core of wrestling fans nowadays. I think only the diehards are watching. You have the WWE Universe, which consists of the families that enjoyed watching Attitude Era, that are now taking their children to see it. WWE will always be with that family-friendly product. You have AEW, which very much mirrors what ECW did back in the day when it comes to the relationship that AEW has with its fan base. You also have Impact doing their thing. So these are the companies that are out there, and what I wanted to do was be able to give a very fair and honest assessment and review of everything that's going on in wrestling. I don't sugarcoat. I've never been good at sugarcoating. This is how it is. I don't have an agenda. I don't treat the WWE better than AEW or any other company. I watch, and I try to give fair feedback. But when I look at the whole business, I think a lot of things need to change, and I think if we got back to basics, things would change for the better rather quickly.
duly noted. You're in 2 Hall of Fames, WWE Hall of Fame, TNA Hall of Fame. One of the greatest runs in the history of the business as far as the tag team, most decorated, certainly one of the most influential, a very satisfying singles run. Did you leave anything on the table? Did we leave anything out? Are you not satisfied with anything that happened?
Completely satisfied. Completely. There's not an arena in the world I haven't wrestled in. There's not a big show I haven't wrestled on. There's nobody. If somebody called me tomorrow and said, you want to have a singles match with Steve Austin? Yes, the answer is yes. I got a call a couple months ago from an indie promoter. You want to work with Jerry Lawler? Absolutely. I'd never been in a ring with Jerry Lawler. I would love the opportunity to be in a ring with Jerry Lawler. It's things like that, these things that I never thought would happen, that if they came along, I'm going to jump at it. Does anything really get me going? No. I'm a storyteller. I'm not a one-night deal guy. Hey, Bubba, you want to come in for one night and do this and put somebody over? Or that? I'll come in for 3 months and then put them over, and let's tell a story and make sure that they're built up so that when I do put them over, it actually means something. But in one night, what are we really accomplishing? That's the way I look at things. But there are a couple of stories out there that I am intrigued by.
I hate to say the word, but pre-pandemic, you were having a conversation with someone where you said, hey, if the right person would come along at the right time, you would do something. But now at 50 years of age and being settled into Sirius XM Radio with Busted Open, would you really consider going back to do a year or two of work with a company, federation, whatever you call it?
The only way I would be able to go back and do a year or two of work is if I can tell stories the way I've become accustomed to telling stories. I need to be fully immersed in something. I have to be passionate about something. I have to be able to look across at the guy that I'm working with and know by the time I split, this guy is higher up on the card than he was before I got here. That's what it's all about to me. So I don't have that real yearning. Right opportunity comes along, yes, I'm absolutely listening. But in wrestling these days, and I don't know how much you get to watch, how long are the long-term stories anymore? They're not very long because people's attention.
Different day and age. I appreciate and what you're saying, though, just as far as elevating the talent that you're going to be working with.
What's the point if we don't?
Exactly, that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Some people lose sight of that. But also, if you were to go back, and obviously you're probably not going back. When's the last time you took a bump? A real bump?
A couple months ago.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, a couple months ago.
how active are you with these kids in your school?
Extremely.
Oh, okay.
Extremely.
So, dude, you're in.
I don't necessarily have to.
You don't need to be recalloused.
No,
Okay.
no, not at all, not at all. Now, if I was going to go back for, night after night after night of working, yeah, that's going to get some taking used
Okay.
to. But going back to have a match or getting in the ring with a student, that's very easy for me. Plus, the type of stories I tell in the ring won't require me to take that many bumps. If a promoter calls me and says, we have a young talent that we'd like to get over, and we'd like to put him over on you tonight. If it's presented to me the right way, the answer will be yes. Amount of bumps I will take, 1. But that bump will be the bump that allows him to get to 1, 2, 3. You don't need any more than that. Why do I have to take 100 bumps? What's the point? That's the way I look at things.
Do you think the better storyteller you are, the less bumps you have to take?
Absolutely.
We'll end on that note. This is a guy who spent 20 years better crashing of tables, ladders, and chairs. Finally, he has learned. Well, it's funny because when you first get into business, you're so full of piss and vinegar. That's what you want to do. Take bumps.
Right, and then you learn
Yeah.
the right way.
And you learn that they were right. You only have so many bumps left in you.
And most talent have to learn this. When you first started, you might have heard from 100 veterans, slow down, kid, don't do so much, kid. But like, you're just a lazy old veteran who doesn't know any better anymore and who's out of touch until you become the lazy old veteran and realize that guy was right.
Yeah, but I think it's just like so full of piss and vinegar, in your learning years, the business is about bumps, but it's not about how many bumps you take. You're going to get knocked down, but it's about the stories, to your point. And the bumps are means to an end, but it's not the be-all, end-all, right?
Not at all. And if one...
But you think it is.
I think it is when you get started.
No, when you get started.
One bump is all you need to make a match. And if you put that bump in the right spot, it'll make the entire match, especially if you're a heel.
Yeah, on our note that we're talking about right now, look at this. We had some great times together the few times that we crossed paths.
Whenever we got to share the ring with you, it was always a blast. Drinking beers, having fun.
Did you pay it? 110, 115 beers was
Amazing.
the ultimate. But, man, congratulations. You and Devon. To Devon, we send out a shout-out. And give him
Absolutely.
our best.
One last story.
Yeah.
Freddie Blassie.
Tell me.
Freddie, remember
Every time we used to go to the Garden.
what was the last thing Freddie Blassie ever said in a wrestling ring?
You tell me.
Devon, get the tables. Who wheeled Freddie Blassie down to the ring? You.
Stop! Whoa! Stop it right there. Stop it right there. Classy Freddie Blassie got something he wants to say.
Devon, get the table.
Hey, you heard the man, he said, Devon, get the tables.
To think as a kid growing up, watching Blassie, keeping that heel persona in mind with Blassie, and then you bring Blassie down to the ring, and the last thing Freddie Blassie ever says is, Devon, get the tables. This is to Freddie Blassie.
Hey, to Freddie Blassie. I forgot that story. I
and
got to
Mae
find
Young.
that. Thank you for traveling all the way out here to the middle of nowhere. Congratulations on all the success you've achieved. Who would have thought that you two guys put together with tie-dye to camouflage would be the most decorated tag team in the history of the business? Also, one of the most successful and influential. Much respect. Cheers.
Thank you, brother, and thank you for the invite.
You got it. My name is Stone Cold Steve Austin, Bubba Ray Dudley, Broken Skull Sessions, and that's the bottom line, because I said so.